I'm mostly working with photography, and I've made a few video works as well, and my process is mostly an analog process. So I began shooting with film, and it was really important for me to continue making work in the same way that I started. So the analog process, for me, it feels like a completely different medium to digital. So when I'm shooting on film, I don't have the camera tethered to a computer, and I'm not seeing the results instantly of what I'm taking. So therefore the creative process remains inside my head or my imagination, and I'm not making decisions based on what I'm seeing immediately. So I can't see what's happening till the film's processed. And what always fascinated me about photography was that element of mystery or mysticism, and so digital doesn't have that mysterious feel to it. For those reasons I still shoot on film. I shoot on medium format or large format camera equipment, and the prints are usually quite large. When I make video works, I actually shoot on, I've only made a couple, but I've shot on a high-speed phantom camera, which is ends up rendering the results in slow motion. And it's sort of, to me, it feels just exactly like taking a photograph, but it's a stretched out photograph. So the subject matter that I normally cover, it's always quite similar. So it's usually children or teenagers or animals or objects. And they're always filmed within a studio environment. Now I choose to shoot in a studio because it's a very controlled environment. It gives me the capability to bring into physicality more realistically what I've imagined. So I recently did a residency in California, and I found a family that raises hybrid wolves. So it's not legal to have a wolf that's a pure wolf, so they're usually like, 70% or 80% wolf. And they had 2 daughters who'd grown up with the wolves. Now it's not possible just to own one wolf, you have to own a pack of wolves because they're pack animals. They're really different to dogs. It was quite fascinating. And it's quite controversial as well because a lot of people, I don't believe that wolves should be domesticated anyway, but they're such beautiful creatures that I just felt compelled to photograph them. And this woman had 2 daughters that had grown up with the wolves. So that was an example where, because they're not very obedient, they can't really be trained like dogs, so I realised I had to let go of complete control. So all I could do was set up my lighting and then have the daughters with the wolves in front of the lens and then see what happened. And that was really, really chaotic because we couldn't shoot inside a studio, so I had to set up all my studio lighting in their backyard with a white background with about 5 or 6 wolves running around. And one of the wolves kept on, as I would shoot a roll of film and put it to the side, it kept on grabbing that exposed roll of film and running off with it. Then they'd have to get the roll of film out of the wolf's mouth. And so, yeah, it was really chaotic. But so perhaps I shot 15 rolls of film, and then maybe I only got one really interesting image from that. So that's an example of how chaotic it can get. When I'm researching or going through that phase, when I'm researching and producing a new body of work, I tend to create these huge ideas walls full of images because I'm not that great at sketching, so I'll use these as a way to storyboard my ideas, and I'll take images from really obscure sources, and the images don't resemble my work at all, and they're not even photographic images, they could be anything, and I'll move the images around and create certain areas of interest on the wall or colour palettes, and I'll use this as a way to develop the ideas and come up with It's a way to flesh out the concepts that I have. So with my recent body of work, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, I was really interested in sculpture, archaeology and history and the representation of women in art throughout history. So the ideas wall was full of images of sculpture and historical items and archaeological sites and things like this. It was interesting for me to begin the MFA after practicing as an artist for 10 years because I'd been practicing making an exhibition roughly, or new body of work roughly every, say, 15 to 18 months. And then to have this time after that to reflect and look back on the work, it's been really interesting for me. It's allowed me to reflect on the practice and examine my choices and the reason why I've made work in the vein that I've made it. And I really wanted to do the MFA at SCA because it was important for me to have an academic supervisor that was also a practicing artist, and Julie Rapp I was really interested to have as my supervisor, and so it's been great to have to meet with her every couple of weeks and talk about the progress of the work, but also she's been really key in assisting me look back at the work and work out the key underlying themes of the work, and from that to go forward in regards to producing new work. So it's been really beneficial.